This is a short film about a group of women from the Ballyfermot Travellers Action Project who made a visit to the Leprosy Project in Jimma, Ethiopia. It was a visit that would open their minds and eyes to the reality of life in a developing country and open their hearts to the women they would meet. This is a film about two groups of women who found a common appreciation of each other through sharing some of the difficulties and successes of their lives. Now and again we stopped to purchase some beautiful fresh fruits, papayas, bananas, limes. In doing so we were supporting the livelihoods of the people in the villages we passed through. There was a bit of a commotion when we drove up with the plastic plate holding the fruit we just purchased. Sister Hickey informed us the plate was worth more than the fruit we just bought. So in a bit of a panic we threw it out the window hoping the girls would find it. Eventually, after 12 hours on the road, and just as it was getting dark, we reached our destination in Jimma. After a good night's rest, we made our way to Tuluma Leprosy Village to meet with the women in the development project. We were introduced to the women, stories of lives were shared, and before long, a strong connection began to develop between the two groups. Our guests had described what life was like for the women before the village was established.
We were in the cemetery with the dead body. When somebody died in a small house, on the top of the body, the family of that person build a small house on the top of the body, and that is an opportunity for them to go in, and they sleep on top of that body. Yeah, we were married there. We had more children, and just for many years we were in the cemetery.
Eileen then described some of the difficulties the travellers had encountered in their lives.
We weren't allowed to go into the one door that the settle kids went into. We had to go into a back door and we put up in a classroom. There was a table dividing the long hall. We weren't allowed to cross over that. We weren't allowed to play in the playground. We were at a different time as the children. And even one time I dressed up as a settled child, like one of the other children, put a uniform on me. And we didn't have to wear uniforms. But I just put a uniform on me to get in, to be the same as every other child. But I was put out and had to go back into the back door again. And that always lived with me, you know what I mean, as being a child growing up. But I have nieces. They're 21 now, and they're going on to college. One is in Trinity, and the other is in the Liberties. And it was never known for travelling girls at that age to stay in school and go on and get an education.
Another woman, Miss Guabdu, described her life since moving to the village.
I was just taking the medication. I was in the house, and the children were very angry, not only her own children, but the children in the community. When the sisters started working, they organized feeding program for the children, and also they gave some saving and money for saving and credit. And then I started producing some food, and also I was bringing. Okay, they were bringing some grain for the sisters, and the sisters were buying and preparing it also food and giving it back for their children so that they can generate money. Then the school was built, and then the children started learning, and they are growing. I have more children and they are growing. She said, and now I am working this, learned this handicraft, and the teacher was employed by the sisters to teach this handicraft, and I learned, and I'm helping myself. And also we have a corporate group, and there is a small shop where we display our these products, and I'm also employed also in that shop and selling things, and I'm in good condition, thanks be to God.
ልጆቻችን ደግሞ ይበልጡን በዴና ደረጃ ላይ በዴና ቤት ተምረው የሞቀ ቤት ውስጥ ሲገቡና ሲወጡ በጣም ደስታ ይሰማኛል።
Now we are very proud and very happy our children are in a warm room, and also they have the opportunity to go to school. Even if our life may be short, but our children have got better opportunity. We are very proud and very happy about it.
Sister Siggy then spoke about how the project has been empowering women and the reaction of the men to such a development.
And who are you? Will never go anymore for that session, you know.
Yeah.
They were forbidding their women not to participate anymore.
Yeah.
Because now the women are not willing as they want, you know. So such kind of thing. But slowly still the women are, you know. That's some of the empowerment they get by coming together.
Very good.
Ronan, who was making a radio documentary of our visit, was curious to know what the men made of all of this.
Yeah, they are slowly. It's not easy at the beginning, but slowly they are accepting, they are listening, they are appreciating. Yeah.
From her experience as a fundraiser, Margaret was able to reassure Margesa and the women in the project that the people back in Ireland were very generous in sponsoring projects in Africa.
Especially the travellers back in Ireland. It's good sponsors.
Margesa acknowledged and welcomed the generosity of Irish people and Margaret's fundraising efforts. However, she wanted us to be aware that Africa is a big place and to please make Ethiopia and their small project in Tuluma part of our plans to support Africa, at which stage Margaret declared,
This would be like our new second home.
Margesa touched our hearts when she spoke about what our visit meant to her and the women in Tuluma.
Even you traveled all the way, you came this village and sharing all our life, and also you from your part openly sharing your life, really it moved us so much. Imagine when the big flood comes and breaks the road or something like that, it really breaks our heart to hear that you were also in a problem like us, and it moved us so much. Thank you so much.
Sister Boze, who runs the Women's Development Group, thanked us and asked God to bless us. And then Eileen summed up how we felt.
That's what I brought up. That's what I'm going to take back with me when I go home to Ireland. You know, I've got a great understanding of Africa. Just that I'm so emotional by it.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone so very much.
We purchased some of the beautifully handcrafted bags that the women make in the project. These bags give the women a source of income, and this has allowed them escape from begging. An old couple, the woman is deaf, invited us into their home. We were a little shocked at how basic everything was. The bed on the floor, the small kitchen. And she showed us a photo of herself as a young woman. Now she said, "I'm old and ugly." But Eileen reassured her.
You're still beautiful.
As we looked around, we were struck by the many religious pictures on the wall, and it reminded us of people's trailers and homes back in Ireland. Outside again, and it was time for some fun and games with the children. The women then introduced us to some of their songs and their dances. And gradually we all joined in. Everyone wanted to see some Irish dancing, so Lily and Marie stepped forward and did a little jig. Getting used to a new currency isn't easy, but it didn't take Margaret all that long to figure it out.
That's 100.
That's 100. Give her that one then. You can keep that one.
17714.
200 for that, 200.
There weren't any supermarkets in Jimma, and small as this shop was, nearly everything it was selling would be considered as a luxury by the women in Tuluma. That night, Bishop Marcus of Vincentian invited us to his house for dinner. Margaret Ann presented him with a booklet on traveller culture which the women had produced. The bishop was very interested to know how the meeting with the women in the leprosy village had affected us. Lily spoke for the whole group when she said,
It was very emotional, very sad, very heartbreaking to know that these people actually lived in a graveyard. As one woman said, we live above the dead but below the living. That's something that's going to stick with me in my heart, and I know the rest of the group for the rest of our lives.
And then the electricity went off, the lights went out, and so we sang.
Don't give up on me. I'll meet you when my chores are true. I don't know how long I'll be.
And it was only when Ronan from RTE began to sing that the lights came on.
Sing it, we got the X Factor chance, and we have a winner, Sister Siggy.
And of course we concluded our night with a dance. The next day, we visited the preschool built by the sisters for the people living in the Tuluma Leprosy Project. They are now in the process of building a primary school. We were all a little taken aback at how hard the work of construction was, the women often taking on the heaviest of work, while the men were engaged in the more skilled elements of building. Those of us who got involved in helping a little got a real sense of how strenuous and difficult the work is. Someone on the site joked that our efforts to help only slowed the building of the school down by 2 days. Later that day, we made a visit to the mill house run by the Ginjo community.
Here's all the people from Ireland. How are you, Father Stephen?
Hi Eileen Barry.
Hi, Margaret Ann. How are you guys? Hello, children.
Hello kids.
Sister Siggy introduced us to a small plant called chat. Apparently, chewing chat has the effect of improving your concentration and keeping you alert.
Do you like that, Elizabeth?
That's very nice.
However, it had a very strange effect on one person. The mill at Ginjo was sponsored by the Daughters of Charity as part of an income-generating project. Since its completion, the mill has been handed over to the community for them to run as a business. People come and pay a small price for the grinding of their grains or their coffee beans. Jimma is commonly understood to be the home of coffee, where coffee originated, and the very best coffee we ever tasted came from this particular mill. While we were visiting the mill, the heavens opened, and we got a sense of how difficult life can be for people in the rainy season. The road outside turned to a thick red muck. Our shoes were destroyed. The local children were laughing at us plodding along. Many of them were barefoot, carrying their shoes around their neck in order to preserve them. Very early the next morning we attended Mass, after which we joined the local community in the hall, where they gather each week to share a huge loaf of bread and some hot sweet tea. As special guests we were served first. We were delighted. We'd skipped breakfast that morning. We had to walk a good distance to Mass as the bus driver had gone to Addis with Ronan, who'd missed his flight. Mass had begun at 7:30, lasted 2 hours, and we were feeling hungry. Although there's no video to prove it, Father Stephen had fallen asleep in the Mass. This cup of tea was certainly about to wake him up. On the day of our departure from Jimma, the two communities gathered in Tuluma to say farewell. They came together at the hottest part of the day, under a small awning, which offered them only a little protection from the baking sun. After some speeches and a final farewell, we were invited to the Women's Development Centre to conclude our visit with some coffee, popcorn, and of course, some dancing. And then it was time to leave. On our way out of the village, Eileen, Marie and Margaret Ann were caught in something of a stampede.
You didn't get that still.
Yeah, Daddy. Daddy took me on the phone. Bye.
We waved goodbye and began our journey back to Addis Ababa, carrying some very special memories in our hearts.
My only sunshine, you make me happy. When I celebrate, you'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, I sleeping. I learned to sing a song, and when